Hey everybody, it's Ethan. Um, as promised, I'm going to try to make this video about, well, I guess I would call it Lost Boyhood, maybe. Um, or just the experience of growing up male. Um, so I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Um, and most of it started last month when I was visiting at home over Christmas. And I was around all my male cousins and my siblings, and yeah, it's the first time I've been home and around everybody at large. A good way into my transition now, and now that everybody's treating me as male, at least I don't know if they. I don't know. I'm not. I guess they fully see me as male, but that's hard to tell. I mean, they could still be okay with the transition, but not quite think of me as male yet, which is understandable. This hasn't been a year yet, and I don't know. It may take a few years, um, but if nothing else, I look and sound male. Um, anyway, that's all beside the point. um, but I struggled a little bit with um, feeling like I was thinking a lot about how it was growing up as kids, and we were a really close group of cousins. I think there's like 13 or 14 of us now. A few of those came much later, so there's really a bigger group of us that are now in our 20s. And I just was thinking about all the fun we had as kids. In the summer, we'd go to camping, and hang out. Like we're always really close and good friends, and it struck me that like my experience was so different, because I was female, and I was the oldest, so I had a lot of reign over over most things going on, and I think for the most part was probably treated fairly gender neutrally, um, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't feel like gender played a huge role. I mean, there were times where I think it came up, but I was viewed as a girl. I was not viewed at how I realize now how I saw myself. It's just another one of the boy cousins running around. Um, and it just made me a little sad that, like, I can't go back and relive that experience. But and also, like, the weird point in time I'm in right now for myself in the transition, where I'm still in that teenager phase, um, and so I am actually getting to relive some like teenager-ish moments, but it's still not the same as if we were doing it. I guess I missed out, having that experience with my peers. Um, Now I'm just a teenager among adults, and that's not quite the same. So yeah, I mean, it didn't crush me, but I certainly felt a little down about it, um, and it makes me think, like, it makes me a little frustrated that I didn't have that experience, that I kind of got robbed of that experience to an extent. Um, and I know it's not something to dwell on because I can't change it, but and sometimes I wouldn't. I am, on many levels, I am proud of having gone through life as a woman and getting to experience that. But there is such a huge part of me too that wants to say, like, I missed that chance at being a boy. Um, and we got home from Christmas, and we rented this like little indie flick. It's called Kings of Summer. If anybody wants to watch it, it was pretty good. I mean, you know, it's a indie film. So that's all I'm gonna say. And those can sometimes be the best, actually. Um, I really enjoyed the movie though, and again, felt a little sad. I mean, it's basically a story about um, teenage boys who leave their homes for a few weeks in the summer because they're frustrated with their parents, and they go out and build a little shack in the woods and live in it. Actually, it's a pretty nice looking house, but um, but it's just like, I you got to watch in the movie these boys like building these friendships and having these teenage boy experiences, and I guess I started to identify with the main character a lot and just feeling, not that I had that relationship with my parents, but um, just feeling like watching him display the emotions and go through, like, having a crush and being crushed when she got with his friend, and you know I thought about it, made me think a lot about myself as a teenager, and that, like, I wish that had been part of my teenage experience, and also made me reflect on the fact that in my own mind I kind of was having that experience, but nobody else could see it, and that's extremely frustrating. Um, it's like being missed totally, and that was hard. Um, Especially the part where he started having a crush on this teenage girl that was friends with them, and like, I used to get like that, and I knew I liked girls, but there was always something that didn't make sense about it to me. Not in the respect that I felt like I shouldn't be gay, which was there, but it felt so natural to me. Like, I couldn't understand why A, it was a big deal, and B, I couldn't understand that anybody else didn't feel the same way. I just thought that that was normal, and um, but I also, like, looking back on it, realized, like, I really saw it as me, a boy, liking a girl, not a girl liking another girl. And it wouldn't have made sense to me at the time if I had thought about it that way, and I obviously nobody else would have seen it that way, but um, that is what was happening, and it's just sad that that wasn't acknowledged or couldn't have been acknowledged. Um, I don't know. I'm hoping this makes sense. Um, but yeah, it's just kind of hard, and realizing that I need to kind of process this, and I guess it's another part of the grieving that we go through. And while there has been a lot of great things that have come out of transition, it's still, there's still times that come up that make me sad, about how things were and how things um, are, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, it's a little bit nostalgic. The other thing I kind of want to talk to, because it does kind of fall within the same realm. Not really. It's not going to make sense probably, but I'll try to explain it. Is So I've been unemployed for a little while, and I've really been trying to think, like, what is my next step. I got out of the army, trying to make a transition into the military, out of the military and into the civilian world. So two transitions going on at the same time, and while I've had some fun getting to do different things, I haven't worked in 9 months, which is a long time for me. Most people, if you've had a job and then not had one, and I know the economy's a little hard to get a job in right now. Regardless, I have not quite known what to really focus on, and what I actually want to do, and part of that, I think, is wrapped up in really feeling so young and feeling like a teenager. Um, it, I guess I still feel to a large degree that I need to figure out how to grow up as a man. Like, I am really stuck in this childish place, but while still being an adult. And That's a confusing place to be. And I was talking to somebody about this last night, but I actually did get an interview a couple weeks ago, and I went to it, and I was interviewed by two guys, one that would be my boss, and the other one that was the owner of the company. And it was incredibly difficult, and I obviously, for a lot of reasons. One, it's the first interview I've had, um, not knowing how interviews should go or can go, or and the one guy was a little intimidating, I felt like, and just not knowing if I was a great fit for the position. I think they pulled me in because I had an interesting sounding background, and they were looking at a broad range of candidates. But yeah, it was really hard. I had a hard time feeling confident and not feeling nervous, and I felt like a kid in adult clothes, like dressed up. So I was talking last night, and it came to me that, like, while I have gained a lot of confidence through this process of transitioning, and I'm more myself than I've ever been, um, I've also lost some confidence. And maybe lost isn't the right word, because I've never been a man in the world, you know, in a working capacity. Um, I was a female in my last position in the military, and I was pretty damn good at my job, and pretty confident in my own abilities, and had a very serious job, and one that required me to be a lot more of an adult than most people at my age are probably required to be. Um, so I think it makes this even more um, complicated, because not only have I gone from being pretty well respected female with a pretty serious job that wouldn't normally have gone to somebody of my age, uh, now I'm this a year older man, but also teenage boy, trying to figure out what he wants to do in the world and how to be a man. And yeah, I don't. That has been also an incredibly tough transition, um, and I'm still working on how to bridge that gap. Yeah, it's like I'm having to start over from scratch again, and I don't necessarily really want to start over from scratch. I have a lot of great experience and a lot of usable skills, um, but I almost feel like I need to start from the bottom up and work my way up as a man, because it's different. And my therapist had brought this up a couple months ago with me, but she said you have to be able to realize that you still have all those skills and you still have all those competencies. You're just in a different, you're just different now as a man. Um, but that I should still take that as my life and my work. Like, that doesn't stop being like my experience just because I was a female and now I'm male. Um, but that's been harder to wrap my mind around than I guess I had anticipated. Um, yeah, I'd be interested to know if anybody else has gone through a similar experience or has felt similarly. And I know my situation's a little unique, coming out of the military and not having a job for so long, and transitioning on top of it. So, but maybe somebody has something close. Um, yeah, I guess it just makes me think what it would have been like to enter the job market, having not transitioned and going on as a female and trying to build off of what I already had. Maybe it still would be intimidating, but yeah, I've just felt really intimidated these last several months. um, yeah, that's it, I think. Hopefully, like I said, all this made sense. I just wanted to kind of process some of it, and put a video out there. Hopefully some other people can relate. Take Take care, everybody.